All right, so this week in Pax Day, the most amount of information that we have gotten yet for verse 5 came out. We're talking about feudal sovereignty. It is a crazy system. I'm so excited to see what's going on with it. We also got a teaser about all of the other features that are potentially coming in verse 5 or beyond. The devs were asking us to give them some more context to what our priorities are. By the way, you can still vote for those on the Discord, so make sure you watch this to get information on what all of those things might mean before you go and place your votes, those final tallies, as they are looking at what everyone is the most interested in. And then we also got the fastest turnaround for a surprise sleeper update where now free-to-play players can actually purchase a plot using only Grace, which means basically if you go and get some gold in game, you will be able to very easily purchase a Grace plot. It is a single plot that you can get in game. We're going to talk about the update. We're going to talk about all of verse 5. We're going to talk about all of the small features that they've been teasing. There's so much to talk about today. I don't even know where to get started. So I think what I'm going to do is just say hello and welcome back, all of you amazingly professional consumers of Pax Dei and Pax Dei related content out there. I'm Altari, the professional gamer, and this is another episode of the PAX Friday Review, the show where we talk about all of the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has come out for Pax Day over the last week. Like I said, we've got verse 5 teasers, we've got small eeny, meeny, miny, mo features that have been teased that we can vote on to give the devs some priority. We also got a new patch with a lot of things changing, including the ability to purchase plots with Grace. We've also got a new gold round robin. A lot of loot tables have been rebalanced. A lot of things have changed in a short period of time, and we will talk about that too. So before we get into all of it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe so you can get notified whenever we come out with new Pax Day or Pax Day related information, and share this video with any of your friends who are looking to stay up to date with the game. It's pretty much the only thing we cover on this channel. And also special shout out to all of our channel members who are financially supporting the channel. Can't do it without you. Let's head over to playpaxday.com to take a look at what's coming in verse 5. That is some very exciting stuff. And we'll also take a look at all of the new features coming that have been teased on the Discord. I'll see you over there. All right, here we are on playpaxday.com, and we're actually going to do a callback to an earlier day in the channel when the game hadn't been out yet, and we're going to pull apart some of these pictures and blow them up. We're not going to be able to do that on the website though. So we're going to go through the content and then we'll hit the pictures after that. And the topic of today is verse 5, and specifically it is feudal sovereignty. For anyone who is just getting on board, what the heck is feudal sovereignty? Well, we had the devs on the channel a couple of months ago for an interview, and we talked about the feudal system. And this is a continuation in that vein. So there are going to be multiple types of clans in the future, or at least there might be. There's a little bit of a teaser that might not be the case in this system going forward. So we'll have to see. Maybe we can get them back on the channel to talk a little bit more about it. But we have feudal houses. Feudal houses are basically a type of clan that you can have in Pax Day that will basically allow you to capture land in Lyonesse and potentially in the wildlands at a future point in time. In verse 5, we are going to be able to capture lands in Lyonesse specifically, and this is giving you the benefit of being able to operate as in a base of operations out of Lyonesse, which is an incredibly resource-rich environment. For anyone who is wondering, if you haven't seen my How to Succeed at Pax Day 1.0 video, the one tidbit of information is that if you are looking to streamline and speed up anything that you do in Pax Day, going to the PvP zone is the thing for you. If you die to another player though, you're going to lose 40% of your gear. It is going to literally disappear. And on top of that, they're going to be taking the rest of the gear from you. So you're technically losing 100% of the gear, but even if you kill someone, you're only getting 60% of what they had. And that is a very high risk, but there is a reward. You get plus 50% XP. That is a huge amount of XP. I know I literally sat there for 10 hours and got from level 10 to level 20 in armor. It is a wild time, but you do run the risk of getting killed by other players. It has a lot of resources. It has some of the best gold in the game. You can get almost, well, now with the new loot system that we'll talk about from the patch notes, it might be equitable to high-end dungeons if you're going and doing a dungeon run, but over a long enough time frame for a single dungeon, you might only be getting close to 20K for 2 hours or 10K an hour, but you could easily do that many hours in Lyonesse as well. But for a actual high-end temple or something like that, you're only going to be getting maybe 10K an hour for the first 2 hours, and then it's going to kind of dip down a little bit lower than that. So there is some efficiency here, but being able to claim the land in Lyonesse is going to be the start of this feudal sovereignty system, which includes the feudal houses, which are a type of clan being able to vie for control over all of these different areas. It is going to remain strictly opt-in, yet those who seek the challenge may soon find new ways to make their presence known. Clans are going to be able to harbor both peaceful artisans and sworn warriors under the same banner, balancing cooperation and competition. So previously, we had a conversation with the devs, and they said that there were going to be feudal houses, which is something PvP specific, and obviously, you can do PvE in that clan as well, but you would be able to be a knight and be in the feudal house, and that's it. And you'd be attackable inside and outside of Lyonesse if you were to hold land and a war was to be waged against you. Now it sounds like they have changed it. They heard what we said, and what we specifically said as the community at large was, hey, that's going to kind of break up a lot of people. Some people don't want a PvP, but they do want to just participate and hang out with others. Sounds like they are changing that a little bit, and we'll get some more information in the future. Now, we are going to be able to contest land. This particular picture is something taken out of Ancient. This is not explicitly what, they even say it right here. This picture is a work in progress mock-up for the Lyonesse map. It's based on the Ancient map, though. The feature will be originally in Lyonesse only. There's a lot of things that are going on this mock-up here, and it's we have some things that we're going to have to talk about there. But basically, you will be able to claim a particular plot or area of land, and then you will be able to build on it, supposedly. So with ownership, basically how it works is there are these feudal shrines, and when you restore them, the claiming of a shrine will open up building rights in a previously unbuildable areas, provide new travel and respawn options, and establish a visible presence in the world map through the heraldry of your house. So you can see here, we've got some of the heraldry right here in the picture. Now, and on top of that, we have ownership, but with great power comes great responsibility. I think Sun Tzu might have said that at one point in time, but the maintaining of a shrine is going to require a steady upkeep, and neglect may see your claim fade back into the wilds. So far, it is saying that you're going to be able to claim it, but it is not explicitly stating that it can be taken from you. So there is a whole war dynamic that we are not actually getting on with this. In previous discussions, we have explicitly spoke with the developers about how this works and how clans are going to be fighting over these types of things. It might be linked to the feudal shrine name, clan name 16 out of 20, or those might be plots 16 out of 20. So you might be able to place plots in a feudal shrine area potentially, and that feudal shrine can hold up to 20 plots, and there's only 16 that have been placed there. We're still learning a lot about how this system is going to work, but that is the initial teaser. Then we got locks, doors, and protection. So with construction extending into a more dangerous province, doors, crafters, and other interactable items on these plots will require you have permission to the plot. Building a safe perimeter around the shrine in your control will be essential, and the gate will block others from entering should you remember to close it. So there is a gate here, and when it is closed, people will not be able to enter. And then I believe the plots will be claimable on the top. We'll talk about that when we look at this picture here. But here's also the actual shrine itself, another picture of the entryway there. And then in addition to that, with verse 5, we are also going to be getting some new decoration items or building props, the ability to an increase in the dungeon difficulty. So they're going to extrapolate on this a little bit more later. Hopefully we're going to see the big Zebs, the giant tanky Zebs, the bloated Zebs that they teased a long time ago. But we also have a picture here talking about or showing all of the new building props in one place. These candles are insane. We'll take a look at that picture here very, very quickly. This is all going to be coming to the test shard in Arcadia. So if you are looking to get a taste of this test before it comes out, head over there. I already have my character prepped up and ready. It is going to be a fun time to explore it, and I will bring you all along as we explore it too. But let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of these pictures really, really quickly. I will see you over there. All right, so taking a look at these pictures really, really quickly. The first thing is all of the new decoration pieces, and we can see a whole heck of a lot of different props here. First, obviously, all the different candles that you have, the candelabras that can be placed. We even have kind of a bigger, like fatter version of a candle. That might also be this one back here. But then just so many different lighting sources, the single candle sconces. I think someone told me the stock price for sconces have gone down drastically after posting this particular screenshot. But then we also have a lot of various jars, jugs, and cups and mugs, as well as spoons and plates. These are all really cool. We're still trying to figure out exactly if this is something that will be able to be placed individually or if it's just a table with all of these props already on it. It does potentially look like this is two different things placed next to each other, the pot plus a jug, and they're kind of overlapping with one another here. So that indicates to me that it's potentially two different things that were placed and made overlapping instead of being a pre-populated table. I know some people in the Discord were talking about this right here. This is just the bellows for the cooking hearth that is right here, most likely. And then some people were also talking about how this back little bench here might be a table of sorts. You can kind of see a bench type thing underneath it, but potentially a new type of table. I do think that we have some potential for like new rugs and stuff like that as well. But this is a lot of new decorative pieces that are coming to the game, and it seems like they're going to be coming relatively quickly. These candles are going to be super sick to have in a castle. I can already tell you it's going to look really great. Then moving on, this is the feudal shrine. We've seen this before, but this is a better picture of it. Looks like a cool crusader. I wonder if we're ever going to be able to get one of these tall kite shields, but still really cool. Here's another image of it, and this is just the entry point here. It does seem like these gates, they said, were able to be closed, and they showed this picture previously. So it's entirely possible that the actual buildable area is going to be on the outside of this, which then would imply this gate is the thing that can be closed and players could be kept out if that is the case. But going back to now the maps and feudal shrines, there's a couple of things that are interesting here. Now, this is supposed to be where the clan heraldry goes if you were to own a specific shrine, right? So that's what this is. But and also what these are. So these are claimed ones. Now, I think this is just indicating that it's been selected, and that's why it's showing feudal shrine name, clan name, 16 out of 20. So this is the plots, the number of plots that have been placed, the plot icon, and then this would be, you know, the name of the clan and then what's there. And it looks like there are spots for these clans to build pretty close to one another. So this is quite an interesting little piece here. But then on top of that, we also have these some weird pieces along here. Now, this is a mock-up map, so it's not something that actually really exists. It's kind of based off of Ancien. But what I find interesting is, why do we have an open gate kind of in the middle here of a forest? I don't know if that's teasing something. Again, this could just be they have a bunch of pieces sitting around that is going through a design review or something. But then most interestingly, we have this thing right here, which almost looks like a tree, but there's two different icons. There's a timer on it, and it says resource name. So I don't know explicitly what this is, but there are two different timers here. They both say resource name. They look like some maybe new type of resource. Maybe it's something Fae related. I don't know. It almost looks like a tree of sorts. And maybe this is a type of thing that you can go to. There's a timer that exists on the map, which is going to draw players into this particular area for a period of time. And then maybe that's where we're going to fight over it. I have no idea, but it's really, really interesting that we have this getting teased and they basically just ignore it the entire post. Then this is the last picture that I wanted to look at. And this is a top-down view of the feudal shrine. And you can see this is kind of where the entrance is. It looks like there might only be the one entrance, and it's right here. And then on top of that, you have several different players that are scattered around it, and then this giant pyre with a blue flame. And it to me is really, really interesting, mostly because of the fact, well, for starters, it looks kind of small. Maybe you could fit 4 or 5 plots. I don't see where you'd fit the 16 out of 20. But if you're able to fit plots on this, what I'm almost wondering is this the buildable area? Or are we going to place plots around this? By controlling this, will you be able to place plots in the surrounding area up to a certain distance away? Those are things that are not explicitly mentioned. Now, I don't recognize exactly this particular area. This might be Avalon over here. I'm not necessarily sure, though. It might be because it's kind of an island with a little bay over here, but it's really, really far away if that's the case. Nevertheless, that is all of the pictures that we have to look through for today, but we now have some of the most exciting teasers that came out this week, and that is the teaser of all of the smaller priorities that they were asking us, the players, to vote on. You can actually, as of the time of recording, you will be able to continue to vote on this, so don't go anywhere because you're going to want to hear kind of what all of these features are and give a little bit more in-depth explanation to them. So I will see you over there. We're going to play Pax Dei's. We're actually just going to the Discord, the official Discord. I will see you over there. All right, here we go. We are on the official Discord now, and we got a post earlier this week that I'm almost even more excited about than verse 5. We already knew that a lot of the verse 5 stuff was coming. We didn't know how it was going to start looking with the maps and all of that, but these are some features that we have not seen for a while in some cases. And what the devs were asking for is they wanted us to select our top 5 choices from below. And we're going to talk about all 5, or not all 5 of those choices, but we're going to talk through all of the different choices that were available. We have quite a bit. We go through a majority of the alphabet here, all the way down from A to R. And these are a lot of different features, going from anything like quality of life to entirely seismic changes to an entire crafting discipline, as well as some incredible callbacks that we haven't seen for a while, specifically with books that make me really excited. So let's go ahead and take a look through all of their descriptors here. The first one is master crafting. A very high or perfect crafting result of an item gives an additional item power bonus. So we've seen this teased in the UI before, and specifically a master crafted item is going to just give you a bonus. It's different than like if you were an uncommon green item or a rare item or even a legendary. Master crafted, I'm pretty sure it puts a crown on top of the icon, and it's going to give you an additional item power bonus when you do it. So there's actually going to be a reason to have a master crafted item. It's going to be more rare to have a master crafted item, but those items are going to have a sizable difference in how you're getting item power from them. This is additional item power that can also be bolstered by things like enchantment in the future too. So it's another way to pad your stats. Then we have slash commands. So this one's more quality of life, allowing you to use slash commands for things like being able to invite people to your party or clan, or also to just do emotes. So slash dance is going to be something that everyone can just slash type in. I do hope that at some point they allow us to synchronize emotes by doing like an asterisk with the slash command. That would be pretty cool. Or also the ability to have co-animations where like players hold their hand up and give each other high fives type of thing too. Then they also mentioned adding a new quality tier for trees, so players have a reason to gather wood outside of the Heartlands, initially used for new decorative building pieces, but also used for high tier equipment. I was actually just out in the old woods, the Whispering Woods, where all of the Fey Stonehenges are, and there is a wisp tree that exists out there. I'm pretty sure no one right now can chop it down, but it does exist out there. So this new quality of tree might be something that we can go and take out. They asked about adding the proper corrupted animals back to the game. So this is going to be replacing the placeholder boars that are spawned instead of the corrupted animals. So they're basically going to be reintroducing the actual corrupted animals back into the game rather than just the smelly boars. Then they say alchemy revamped. So this is going to revisit a lot of the recipes and content that's produced by alchemy. So potions are going to be getting a bolster or a boost. Then baking, they're also considering doing that. Updating charcuterie to just butchering and doing a whole cooking revamp as well. Then they also teased a combat balance update to both spells and NPCs overall. So combat spells and abilities need a balance pass. NPCs need a stat rebalance and some simple behavior changes to make them a bit more tactical in combat. So they're going to improve the combat with NPCs and also do a balance pass on all of our combat stuff. They also are talking about doing a faction relic update. So some relics are just not that accessible. They want to make it some of them easier to obtain related to the loot tables mentioned in earlier stuff. But this also needs a concerted effort when it comes to NPC distribution. So they need to revamp all of that. Then one that many people have been talking about, a fletching revamp. So being able to get better bows. So a first pass on this is not going to, would not add spells to bows though. Revamp bows and arrows to make the progression feel smoother. This would include fixing the XP gain for bows and revisit the recipes and the content produced by fletching, but it is not necessarily it's not going to be adding spells to bows yet. That's coming at a later time. Here's another one, jewel crafting getting a revamp. So they're actually going to allow them to give jewelry stats. So right now, jewelry is just a way to distribute some of the broken pieces of gear. It is actually quite useful in PvP because all of those gear, like all of the rings and bracelets and things that you have in your inventory account for part of the 40% of the things that can be destroyed. So you're kind of rolling your dice here by increasing the number of things that can be destroyed as well. But those things could just be jewelry as opposed to a really nice piece of armor. They also are looking to include readable lore book fragments you can find from loot. So you can find lore on the pages and also use them to craft books. So this is a huge feature that the devs have shared multiple times before. These books and lore are things that eventually we'll be able to look at, read, and then they might lead us to other things, to hidden places in the world, hidden treasures, and hidden skills even. And this is kind of what looks like to be the first implementation of that. Having the ability to find these books and then be able to go on an adventure, looking and reading through the content and having that guide you to where it goes. It's not giving you a quest. It's telling you, hey, in this lore, this person was standing next to a tree and there was a hole in the wall and that led him to a chest or something like that. I don't know how exact. I mean, that's a really bad example, but you'd still get the point. You could go find that tree that was mentioned in the lore book and then go find that hole and find the chest as well. It's a hidden thing that only players with that would be. But also in the future, it could be these types of books can also unlock certain spells or certain crafting pieces and stuff like that. And they could be really hard to get. So that's a really cool feature that I'm really, really excited about personally. They also want to rebalance the durability of gear, so weapons get damaged a lot faster than clothing and armor. Weapons should get damaged a little bit slower, but armor should be getting damaged a little bit faster. And also, they know that healing staffs are not losing durability like the other weapons do, and they want this to be fixed. So healing staffs, get ready. You're going to be getting nerfed at some point in time where you will have to craft more than one healing staff in the entire lifetime of the game. They also wanted to update caves and all of the mobs that are in them. And right now there's kind of two different types of caves. Well, really three, but the mobs that show up in them are the corrupted animals, the Inquisition, and then the spooky lost souls. So they're going to be updating that and actually including more stuff. They want to update the crafting XP to make it more balanced so that you don't level crafting with only one item. So that's a pretty interesting thing. They don't want us to actually, craft 10,000 vambraces anymore. They want to distribute the craft. So like, I believe what this means is, for example, it requires a crap ton of resources to make a single breastplate. It does not require a lot of resources to make a gauntlet. So what normally happens is a lot of players will go and craft the gauntlet, and it gives the same XP that you would get if you were to spend all of the resources and craft the breastplate. What I believe they're going to be doing here is rebalancing that so the breastplate just gives you more experience that's equivalent to the amount of materials that you're using as opposed to the gauntlet itself. They also want to go through and update winemaking and brewing. They also want a different fix. Normal attacks shouldn't pause stamina regeneration. So they are updating combat. This is a huge combat change if they implement this, where your attacks, so just attacking, isn't going to draw your stamina down. Stamina gets drawn down by blocking, but it's not going to get drawn down by attacking. Or not drawn down, but paused by attacking. So this is going to actually increase the amount of people that are actually blocking. Right now, you don't really need to block because you're going to run out of stamina, and then you run out of stamina, or your stamina gets low. You can't block anymore the rest of the fight because you can't recover, and you're only going to be able to recover if you actually have a stamina pot. So then lastly, status effect mouse over. So add a mouse over on status effects so you know what they do and what their source is. So this is all stuff that is still coming. There's 3 more days as of time of recording. I believe this is going to close on Monday, what would that be, 17th of November. So make sure you go over there and actually vote. As it stands right now, some of the bigger ones, I believe, primarily are going to be master crafting. Then we also have H, which is a combat balance. We also have the O, which is an update to crafting XP. But hey, I'm really excited about it. I'm really happy about this L, which is readable lore book fragments you can get from loot. We're up at 636, y'all. You would make me so happy if everyone just goes there and votes L. Why? Because books are actually one of the coolest things in Pax Dei. I am going to convince you all of that. This channel was made because I was excited to cover books in game, and I hope all of you are too. But please, regardless of what you choose, go and choose it over here so that the devs know what to focus on. They didn't say how much of these things they are going to be picking from, but they just want to get everyone's opinions on what it is. It's incredible that we have literally 3,000 votes on this particular one. That is a lot of participation from it. I mean, there's, I think, somewhere between 6 and 9 to 10,000 players if you look across Steam, the PC Gaming Pass, and Epic Game Store that are playing concurrently or during peak hours. So about a third of them have already responded on a daily basis. If we can get that even higher, that's going to be great for mainframe. So that is all that we have specifically for this little teaser. I'm pretty excited about some of them. I hope all of you are too. We're going to hop over for the last thing, which is going to be the patch notes for the most recent patch, where all of you are going to be able to get basically a free plot for 400 grace. We're going to talk about that. I'll see you over there. All right, and here we are back on the official Discord, taking a look at the patch notes. This is verse 4, patch 4, and specifically a lot of changes coming with regards to plots. We have First and foremost, if you were one of the founders, your plot could potentially go red right now. If it is, everyone should check that. Everyone should check and make sure that your plots are not red. If they are, that means they are going away in 3 days. They are going to go, they're going to get sucked up. All of the stuff that are on those plots are going to get pulled into your inventory, specifically your L file, redemption queue, and they will disappear in 3 days' time. Check it. Now, on the topic of plots, though, you will be able to get for 400 grace, a grace plot. You will be able to renew that grace plot every month with 400 additional grace, or you can also choose to convert it into a tokenized plot at some point in time. So the auto renew, though, is not enabled for the grace. It's not going to automatically spend your grace. You have to choose to spend it every month, but you can choose to spend the grace to extend the grace plot. It lasts for at least 1 month when you purchase it. You can also use tokens to extend this duration. If you don't own a grace plot, you can also extend duration of an existing plot that was claimed with a regular plot token using grace. This plot will then function as a grace plot. You only get 1 grace plot. For all of you who are currently playing the game, congratulations, you got 300 grace. If you are a new player who has just decided to come into the game because you saw all this cool stuff that's coming in, well, you're going to get 100 grace just for joining and playing the game. So that is a really cool opportunity there. Now, other changes, party loot rules. It is now a round robin. Anytime that anyone loots anything, it is going to be shared with the entire party. That also includes loot boxes and chests. It gets distributed across everyone. Last night, we ran a dungeon for just about 2 hours, and we got about 20,000 gold across, I believe it was 3 or 4 different parties running the dungeon. That equates to about 1-ish thousand gold per player. That's a lot of gold in relation to what it was previously. And they also mentioned that they will allow this feature to be turned off for parties in the future. That will be a welcome addition. I hope it comes sooner rather than later because of how at least our group runs the dungeons. We pool everything together, and it just becomes a lot more difficult when you have 20 players pooling everything together and then dividing equally. It's way easier when you only have 4 people pooling things together and then distributing them evenly across everyone instead. But we also are getting party members and on compasses. So the compass is now going to show you if you're heading the heading of your party members, and if your parties are far away from you, their position updates much more slowly at the same rate as it would on the map. Resources, many plants were tough to see, so they increased the size of some of them. This is including blueberries, strawberries, cotton, and several others. Gold loot, it's been also adjusted, so non-animal NPCs that would sometimes drop 0 gold now always drop at least a minimum amount of gold. So we're always guaranteed to be getting gold. None of them are completely broke, but some of them are more broke than others. The average gold loot from normal enemies remains the same as before. Hard enemies used to drop the same amount of gold as their normal, but now that is also increasing. So for example, when you go to a dungeon and there are those skull enemies, those are listed as hard or elites. Those would actually yield more gold. And then enemy gold is also being increased too. NPC loot, they did a little bit of rebalancing across all of the looting options. So, and many of the higher tiers used to pull gold from the wrong pocket, tier 1 or 2 when they died. Now they drop the intended amount. Animal droppings have been too similar, and the different amounts of raw materials that each animal dropped were too many, causing a player frustration with inventory space. So they basically went through and readjusted a lot of those different features there. And there is actually a big change that's coming with regards to like bone and glue as well, a new recipe that's coming out. But then also animal skinning. When your skinning reaches level 10 or higher, then the tier at which you could start skinning that hardness level, you get 50% more hide. So you're actually getting an increased yield. This is big. Also, they did add, let's take a look if we can find it really quick. They did add I guess you can say more so, they updated the gray bears, which are now tier 5 elites. Killed one today, yielded 20 large animal hides. That's 20. It took about 20 people to take the dang thing down, but 20 large animal hides. If you can figure out how to kill them and kill them well, you're going to be getting a lot of stuff from that, a lot. And then you could imagine if you had plus 10 higher than the requirement, which I don't think would be possible for a tier 5, then you'd potentially be getting even more hides. It would be really hard to get that one, but if you did, that would be nuts. And then there are several other changes that came with the drop rates for other various hides and things like that. Grain mills, you no longer have to have the tools in order to make the mills for that, or they more so reduce the unlock skill level of baking tools to 6 rather than having them as a difficulty of 13. They updated a couple of things. They added a new recipe for glue, which is from bone fragments or fine glue. Horn buttons are now produced from antlers and not hooves. Just a couple of changes here across the board from all of those things. Then crafting speed and mastery. So standard crafted components now initially will take less time to craft. But then as you gain a mastery in the skill, it becomes trivial, the crafting time decreases further down to 1/5 when it's fully mastered. So the better you get, the faster you're able to actually process some of these things. There have been updates to all of the stacks. Meat chunks go up to 100 now, y'all. In addition to that, we also got Canaanite and Amber Grasp going up to 100 too. That is great. Makes sense. We like that. Item repair, you now will be able to make items get repaired from any of the crafting benches. Again, I have said this multiple times, and I will continue to say it multiple times until Mainframe tells me to shut the heck up. I really do think that instead of just allowing any crafting station to repair everything, that they should just make a repair and salvage table. And that specifically won't allow you to craft anything, but it will allow you to salvage all of those various chunks that you get from PvP now, those salvage metals and materials. But then also it'll allow you to repair anything at that bench too. It would also be pretty cool if in the future, now we're just spitballing features for Mainframe. Sorry, but it would be cool if we can apply those salvaged materials like from PvP drops into making repairs, and maybe that reduces the lifetime damage that's taken by some of those weapons or something like that. It could be a pretty cool feature over time and create a market for those types of things. And then there's been several different fixes. One of the biggest ones, and this is going to really change how people look at dungeons, is instead of having a 30-minute timer for dungeon loot piles like we had before, now we are getting a 16-hour one. So if you go and clear a dungeon and you get all of the chests, then there's nothing left. You can obviously keep killing the mobs that are in the dungeon, hopefully get some elite mobs or named mobs to spawn in order to get those primary relics. But other than that, that's it. So this is all of the changes and updates. I know this has been an incredibly long PAX Friday review. I hope all of you have stuck around to the very end because there's been so much information to talk about, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe so you can get notified whenever we come out with new PAX Day or PAX Day related content, and share this video with any of your friends so that they can stay up to date with PAX Day as well. Really glad that we got all of this information today. Verse 5 is looking to be so exciting. Beyond that, we've got alliances coming, updates to Grace and all of that too. It is going to be a great 2026, but before we get there, we've got another awesome patch coming, and I am just ready for it to be on Arcadia so we can start looking at it and sharing more on the channel. Until then, though, I'm Altari the Professional Gamer, and I will see you in the next video.